Hello everybody, it is Jess and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about all of the books that I read in February. I don't know what it is about February, but it always just seems like a very slumpy month for me, and I think it might be because I always read a lot in January because I'm always excited. It is the new year and I have all of these books that I want to get to, and I always read a lot in January. I read a lot this past January. And then when it gets to February, I've kind of burnt myself out a little bit, and I just don't want to read. But I still read 6 books, I think, which is pretty good. And again, the quality of the books that I read was phenomenal. I can't complain. I had some 4-star reads. I didn't have a 5-star read, unfortunately, which is the same as last February. I didn't have a 5-star read last February either. So maybe there is a trend here. I don't know. But without further ado, let's just get into the wrap up. So as always, I am going to start from my lowest rated books and then finish on a high with my highest rated books. And my lowest rated book of February is The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. So this was a 2.5 star read for me. I don't want to tell people not to read this book because I think it discusses some very important topics, and it does kind of make you think about things in a different way. This is Maggie Nelson's memoir, and she talks a lot about her relationship with the artist Harry Dodge, who is a trans man. She talks a lot about queer identity and gender fluidity and being a mother, and how all of these things kind of interact with each other in her life. And yeah, like, I understood some of what she was saying, and I thought it was a really insightful look into gender identity and queer relationships, especially for someone who isn't, a part of the LGBTQ plus community. It did teach me some things. But my main issue with this is just that I felt like I was reading an essay. I didn't feel like I was reading a memoir. There is a lot of referencing other people's work in this, other prominent figures within the queer community, or poets, or other writers. There's a lot of that, and it's just a bit too academic for me. I would have just liked more kind of memoir styled writing, is the only way that I can put it. So it didn't really work for me in the long run, but I did still get something from it, and I do still encourage people to read it if they want to, because you will definitely learn something from it. Alright, so let's move on to my 3-star reads, and I have 2 of them. The first one is They Said They Wanted a Revolution. This is another memoir, coincidentally, all about a woman whose parents were from Iran, and they had moved to America. They'd started a new life in America, and it's all about how her parents went back to Iran to become part of a revolution, and it kind of like, what's it? Follows on from the fall of the Shah, and Iran becoming a very different country to what it was prior to, I think this happened in the early 80s, I believe. And yeah, it was a very interesting look into this part of Iran's history. I've done a little bit of research on the Iranian Revolution in the past when I was at university, and I was looking at some Iranian photographers' work, and what they were doing regarding the revolution. It was very eye-opening, but, and again, it might just be, it's probably just me, but it didn't feel like a memoir. This felt a lot like the author was, she describes it as her memoir, but it was less about her and it was more about her parents' lives and the things that they strove to achieve and the things that happened to them. She talks a lot about her father's execution in Iran, and what that was like for her, but I didn't really feel any kind of emotion towards it, I guess, because it just felt, it didn't feel personal enough. And I know it's obviously very personal to the author and it's something that's very important to her and it is something that has shaped her as a person. But yeah, it just felt kind of weird to call it a memoir and then for it to talk about her parents' lives more than her own. So yeah, I don't know, like I had very mixed feelings on this going into it, but again, it is another one of those books that I did learn something from and I do still encourage people to read it. There have been some amazing reviews about this book, so you know, it didn't work for me, but it might work for you. So my next 3-star read is Open Water by Caleb Zuma Nelson. This has been on my TBR for quite some time. I decided to read it because I felt like I was missing out. There has been a lot of really positive feedback regarding this book, and I can see why. The writing was outstanding. It was so beautiful. A bit too flowery for me. It's not the kind of writing that I enjoy reading, but you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't gorgeous, because it was. And I think Caleb Zuma Nelson has such a wonderful way with words and talking about, you know, the black experience and the black body and getting underneath the skin of it, if you were. And yeah, it was really compelling. This is about two young black students who meet each other in a bar, and it's about how their relationship develops over time, and their experiences with each other, and it talks about you know, the black experience and the black body, and everything that comes with that. This book does discuss a lot of really important topics, and I thought it was done in a very sensitive and a very beautiful way. I just couldn't connect with the characters because I felt like they were so fleeting. You know, I would have liked a bit more depth into them as people, into their personalities, into their lives. We only really got glimpses of it, in my opinion, and I would have just liked a little bit more fleshing out of the story. It's a short story, it's only 140 pages long, something like that. It's not a massive story, but you know, I think this book had a lot of potential to be a bigger novel. I would have liked it to have been a bigger novel, you know. I would have liked more of the nitty gritty. I would have liked to have seen more of their relationship, more of their personalities, more of their lives, so I could really connect with them and really feel for them. And yeah, but still really liked this one. Go and check it out. So now we are on to my 4-star reads, and we have 3 of the beauties. So the first one is Love After Love by Ingrid. So Ingrid is a Trinidadian author, and this book takes place in Trinidad and Tobago, and it follows 3 main characters. We have Betty, her son Solo, and then we have Mr. Chetan. So Betty is a widow. Her husband died, and he wasn't a very nice man. And then she is living on her own with her son Solo, who is in school and he's going through a tough time. And then Mr. Chetan is looking for a place to live, so he ends up lodging with Betty and Solo. There is this beautiful story of finding love after love and friendship and family. And this is not something that I would normally read, but I was just really compelled by it, and I really, really liked the characters. I loved the characterization of Mr. Chetan in particular. I thought he was really well written, and he had a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface that I just thought was done really well. And I love Ingrid Persaud's writing in this book. Again, it's not a typical form of writing that I would read, and one of the things that threw me off was that there was no like quotation marks with the speech, so it did take me a while to kind of figure out who was saying what sometimes, but once I got into the story and I started to follow it, it came naturally to me. You know, I could tell who was talking, and I just love how conversational it was. And I also loved the use of the dialect in this, the Trinidadian dialect, you know, which gave the characters such a unique voice and just made it that much more enjoyable to read. I love the location as well of Trinidad, and just, you know, I had such massive summer vibes from this book, but it is emotional. There were some moments in here that really packed a punch, and it can be quite a tough read as well. There are some things in it that might be a bit hard for some people to read, but yeah, I love this one, and I'm very keen to check out some of Ingrid Persaud's other works. So next we have The Love Hypotheses by Ali Hazelwood. So this has been everywhere. Everyone has been talking about this book, and I jumped on that bandwagon, and I'm so glad I did, because I had such a fantastic time with this. This is about Olive, who is a PhD student, and she is trying to convince her best friend to go out with Olive's ex, because like she knows those two like each other. She wants her friend to be convinced that she's over this guy, and so she ends up randomly kissing this professor called Adam Carlson, Dr. Carlson, so that Olive's friend Anne will think that Olive is in a relationship and it's okay for her to go out with Olive's ex. If you followed that. Aside from the fact that Olive, you know, totally assaulted this guy, you know, and kissed him without his permission, I love this story. I have a thing for the professor-student trope. It's one of those taboo topics that it doesn't really, I haven't seen it come up in fiction that much, but I bet it is out there. I know it's out there, but I really liked this one. Olive is not directly Dr. Carlson's student, and you know she's like 24, so it's a little bit less taboo. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. I thought it was witty. I loved the whole women in STEM thing going on. We don't see enough of that in fiction. I really, really liked it. I love that Olive was a very intelligent woman, you know, and she's striving to achieve something, you know, that's really important to her, that really matters to her, and I love that she held her own with that. And I love the story. I found it very frustrating, which is what I want in a romance. I really fancy Dr. Carlson. I'm sorry, but I do. My only issue with this is that it is very kind of graphic when it comes to sex scenes. I was not expecting there to be an entire chapter, 2 chapters something like that, dedicated to a sexy night. I'm not against erotica in any way, but was it necessary? I'm not sure. If you've read this book, you will know what I'm talking about. If you've not read this book, you still might have heard about this. But yeah, I don't think it was needed. But you know, I know some women will enjoy it, so it's each to their own. So my last 4-star read of February, and my favourite 4-star read by far, is You, by Caroline Kepnes. This is a great little book. I love reading books about messed up characters, especially if it's from the point of view of that messed up character, and this is from the point of view of Joe Goldberg. So Joe works in a bookshop, and one day in walks this woman called Guinevere Beck, or just Beck as they call her, and he becomes obsessed with her pretty much straight away, and he starts stalking her, and he does some very outrageous things in order to be in a relationship with her. And yeah, it is a lot and it is very heavy, but I really enjoyed it. It's weird because Joe Goldberg is not a likable character, and you do not want to come across him in any capacity. But it's hard not to like him sometimes because he has that very charming way about him. But I guess that is the point, because, you know, he's very manipulative, and he knows he's good looking, and he knows he's charming, and he uses those things to his advantage. And so it highlights some very important things about how men abuse their power when it comes to women, how these psychopaths will literally do anything to get what they want, because that is what Joe is. He is an absolute psychopath. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's very tense. The pacing kind of dropped off a little bit towards the middle, and I found some of it very frustrating, and I was just like, please just get to the good stuff. But you know, the ending was wild, and I loved every second of it. I loved every crazy, messed up, cringy. There were some cringy moments, and Pete Salinger. Oh God, don't even get me started on that woman. But yeah, overall, really, really like this. So glad I read it. Can't wait to read the next installment, which I think is called Hidden Bodies. But yeah, if you're a fan of the show and you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. Alright, so there we go. Those are the 3 physical books that I read in February. Yeah, that was my February wrap up. That is all I have to say. So I'm gonna end it here. Please let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of the books that I have talked about in today's video, and what your thoughts were on them, because I always love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to leave a cheeky thumbs up if you liked this video. It really helps with my channel. You can also subscribe to my channel, and you can hit the bell button so you will be notified every single time I upload. And I will see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.